There is a unique and terrible pain that comes with betrayal. It is different from all other wounds. An attack from an enemy is, in a strange way, logical. It makes sense. But betrayal comes from within the city walls. The knife is not held by a stranger, but by a brother, a parent, a spouse, a friend. It is a wound inflicted by a hand you used to hold. This kind of wound shatters more than just our present moment. It contaminates our past. Every shared memory, every moment of trust is retroactively poisoned, and it cripples our future, making it terrifying to ever trust again. How do you recover from something like that? And what does it even mean to forgive? Are we supposed to simply erase the memory? To pretend the wound doesn't exist? To open ourselves up to be hurt again? Our culture is saturated with cheap, sentimental advice about forgiveness. But for those who have experienced profound betrayal, this advice feels hollow, even insulting. If you have ever felt this way, if you are wrestling with a wound that will not heal, the ancient scriptures offer not a simple platitude, but a brutally honest, psychologically complex, and deeply practical roadmap. It is the story of Joseph, as told in the book of Genesis. And it is perhaps the most sophisticated case study on surviving betrayal ever written. The story begins with a portrait of a deeply dysfunctional family. Joseph is the 17th son of an aging patriarch, Jacob, and the firstborn of Rachel, the wife Jacob truly loves. Joseph is, to put it mildly, the favorite. His father gives him a special coat, a coat of many colors, a visible daily symbol of his preferential status. Joseph, for his part, is young, arrogant, and lacks situational awareness. He has prophetic dreams of his brothers and parents bowing down to him, and he makes the catastrophic mistake of telling them. He is pouring fuel on a fire of sibling jealousy that is already raging. His 10 older brothers, sons of less favored wives, look at him and see the living embodiment of their father's rejection. They don't just dislike him. The text is chillingly specific. They hated him and could not speak peacefully to him. This is the fertile ground for betrayal. It rarely comes out of nowhere. It grows in the dark soil of envy, resentment, and a perceived injustice. The moment of trauma is swift and brutal. Jacob sends Joseph to check on his brothers in the field. They see him coming from a distance, and the conspiracy ignites. "Here comes this dreamer," they say. "Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits." The only thing that saves him from immediate murder is the intervention of the oldest brother, Reuben, who suggests throwing him into a pit alive, secretly planning to rescue him later. So they strip him of his coat, the symbol of his identity and his father's love, and they throw him into an empty well. And then, in one of the most psychologically horrifying details in the entire Bible, the text says, "They sat down to eat." While their brother is in a dark pit, likely screaming for his life, they have a meal. This is the act of total dehumanization. He is no longer their brother. He is a problem that has been solved. The betrayal is sealed when they see a caravan of traders and, on the suggestion of Judah, decide to profit from their crime. They sell their brother into slavery for 20 shekels of silver. They then take his precious coat, dip it in the blood of a goat, and present it to their father, Jacob, completing the betrayal with a soul-crushing lie. This is the initial trauma. It is a multi-layered wound, The violence of the attack, the terror of the pit, the humiliation of being sold like an animal, and the profound agony of it all coming from the hands of his own brothers. The next phase of Joseph's story is the long, quiet wilderness of living with that trauma. He is taken to Egypt and sold to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh. Through his intelligence and integrity, he rises to a position of power in Potiphar's household. But then, disaster strikes again. He is falsely accused of sexual assault by Potiphar's wife and is thrown into prison. Let us pause here. It would be easy for Joseph to become bitter, to conclude that the universe is unjust and that integrity does not pay. But instead, even in the darkness of the prison, he continues to use his gifts. He interprets the dreams of the cupbearer and the baker. He maintains his character even when his circumstances are at their worst. This is a crucial psychological insight into the process of surviving trauma. Healing is not a passive waiting game. It often involves actively engaging with the world, using your skills, and maintaining your own integrity, even when you have been the victim of a great injustice. Joseph is not defined by his victimhood. He is defined by his character. He spends years in that prison, forgotten. This is the long, slow, arduous work of survival. There are no shortcuts. Then, through his gift of interpreting Pharaoh's dreams, he is catapulted from the prison to the palace. He becomes the second most powerful man in Egypt, tasked with saving the nation from a coming famine. And it is this very famine that sets the stage for the story's climax. The confrontation. Years have passed. His brothers, driven by the same famine, come to Egypt to buy grain. They come before this powerful Egyptian official and they bow down to him. His childhood dream has come true in the most ironic way imaginable. And they do not recognize him, but he recognizes them. Now, if this were a sentimental story, this is where the tearful reunion and immediate forgiveness would happen. But this is not a sentimental story. It is a realistic one. Joseph does not reveal himself. He does not offer cheap grace. Why? Because the wound is too deep, and he has no idea if these men have changed. Are they still the same ruthless, envious people who left him for dead? To offer forgiveness to an unrepentant heart is not grace. It is enabling. So Joseph begins a long, elaborate, and psychologically brilliant series of tests. He speaks to them harshly. He accuses them of being spies. He throws them in prison for 3 days. He demands they bring their youngest brother, Benjamin, his only full brother, Rachel's other son, to prove their story. This is not an act of petty revenge. This is a diagnostic process. He is putting them in a situation of stress to see what their character is now made of. Will they sacrifice another brother to save themselves? He is searching for evidence of remorse, of change. The brothers, in their distress, reveal the first signs of a guilty conscience. They say to one another, "In truth, we are guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the distress of his soul when he begged us, and we did not listen. That is why this distress has come upon us." Joseph overhears this, and the text says he has to turn away from them to weep. For the first time, he sees that the trauma was not just his. It has been living inside them too. The climax of the test comes when he frames Benjamin for stealing a silver cup and declares that Benjamin must stay behind as his slave. This is the ultimate replay of the original trauma. Will they abandon Rachel's other son? just as they abandoned him. And it is Judah, the very brother who suggested selling Joseph in the first place, who steps forward. He offers a passionate, heartbreaking speech. He explains what losing Benjamin would do to their father, Jacob. And then he says the words that change everything. "Let your servant remain instead of the boy as a servant to my Lord, and let the boy go back with his brothers." He offers himself as a substitute. The man who once sold his brother is now willing to become a slave to save his brother. This is the evidence Joseph was waiting for. This is proof of profound, genuine transformation. And only now, after this proof, can the true reunion happen. Joseph sends all the Egyptians out of the room, and he breaks down, weeping so loudly that the whole palace hears. "I am Joseph," he says. "Is my father still alive?" His brothers are terrified, but through his tears, he offers them not a lecture, but a radical reframing of their shared history. He says, "Do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life." And then he says the most important words in the entire saga. "As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good to bring it about, that many people should be kept alive as they are today." This is the heart of Joseph's forgiveness. Let's be very clear about what it is and what it is not. It is not denying the harm. He says it plainly. "You meant evil against me." He does not minimize their intent. He does not pretend the wound wasn't real. It is not forgetting. His memory of the event is precise and painful. It is not a cheap emotional release. It comes after a long period of testing and evidence gathering. Joseph's forgiveness is a profound cognitive act of reframing. He is not saying that their evil act was secretly a good act. He is saying that a sovereign, redemptive power was able to take their genuinely evil act and weave it into a larger pattern of preservation and good. He is not forgiving them because what they did was okay. He is forgiving them because he has found a larger story in which to place his own trauma. This is what allows him to release them from their debt. By seeing their evil as one thread in a much larger tapestry, he takes the power back from his trauma. He is no longer just a victim of his brother's hatred. He is an agent in a divine plan of rescue. This reframing is what liberates him from a life of bitterness and resentment. The story of Joseph is a roadmap. It teaches us that surviving betrayal is a long journey. It involves a period in the prison where we must maintain our own character in the dark. It teaches us that true reconciliation requires evidence of change, and that testing and setting boundaries can be a necessary and healthy part of the process. And it teaches us that the ultimate act of forgiveness is not about changing the past, but about changing the meaning of the past. It is the courageous and difficult work of finding a larger, redemptive story in which to place our deepest wounds. A story where we are not defined by what was done to us, but by what we chose to become in spite of it.